So seen, we have created a info cube. Now, what is our exercise today is, okay, I don't know the number, but what are the number you want? 3, yeah? So now, what we are saying, loading of transaction data into info cube from a flat file. Okay, so it almost resembles your second exercise. This is, let us say, 4. Third exercise is creating a cube. It almost resembles your second exercise wherein you loaded master data into BI from a flat file. Almost same process, but for you to understand still, and we'll add some more concepts into this. Okay. Now, what is that now? You know, so let us say I'm going to create one file. Okay, imagine we are creating one file which has like this data. Customer number. These are the objects which I have taken in my cube, right? Then I have material number. Then price, the unit of price. That is zero currency what you have. Okay. Then quantity and its unit, revenue and its unit. Then finally these are the objects which are taken in my cube, right? So real time first you will get a file. According to the file only you are going to do the modeling, okay? And moreover you will not create any file or something in the real time. So here I have to create it because I am itself is the client, everything. So now I have some data like this. Okay, let us say revenue is blank. I will be using a formula to calculate the value of revenue, and date of transaction format should be like this. Okay, like this. So now you have suppose some data is there. So this particular data now we want to load it into my info cube. Now what I am doing, earlier I am putting my file was in my local workstation, right, desktop, but as I said real time my file will be in the server. So now I have placed one file in the server, so I am going to access that particular file from the server. So now first I am going to show you how can you see the file which is available in the server, or let us say how to place a file in the, but you don't place the file in the server, this can be done only in your server system. So now to access the file in the server, okay, or to place the file in the server, you have to use a T code called AL11. So AL11 is a T code. This is for application directories. So it will show you the directories of your server system. That means it will show you the folders of your server system. Okay, there is one directory called dir_home. Where exactly your file will be placed is dir_home. Now what you can do, so just go with AL11. What's the T code as I said? AL11. Now what is this directory now you can observe? So there is one directory called dir_home. And can you see the path D user SAP DEV? Suppose if this was itself, imagine if this was your server system, what you can do, you can go with that path. My computer, D user SAP, like that. But this is not my server system what I am working with, so you don't find that option here. So suppose this was your file, copy that file and place it into the particular path. The ultimate your file is in the server system. Okay, but already I have placed one file there, as I said. Okay, I am searching that file name. What is that file name is? I have kept one file called tdata.csv. See this file? Same thing, customer, material, price, its unit, quantity, its unit, revenue is blank, then unit of revenue, then date of transaction. So this particular file, we are going to load it into my info cube. Clear now? Right. Clear how can you place my file in the server now? Right. How can you access that file in the server is clear? So now, what is that now? Step 1. Step 1 is what? Define the target. Step 1 is to define your, so where exactly you want to load data into BI system, that target you need to develop, that is nothing but your first step. Okay, define the target. So now, what is your target now? Your cube is ready. Last step is what we did is, my target was ready. So that is nothing but, so you have to perform which exercise now? So creation of cube exercise. Okay. So what is the target now? YC underscore. So my cube is ready, which I have created in my last class. Okay, right. Then step 2. Step 2 is what? Same thing. Creation of what? Data source, right? How exactly data has to be extracted from your source system. Now how do you create a data source now? So RS7, modeling tab, data source level, then in the right frame you can choose your interface between BI and, so already we have selected that S underscore triple F what we have created in the earlier exercise. Then after you created one application component, also select this application component, context menu, create a data source. Same thing, RS7, modeling tab, data source level, you have to select the application component, then context menu, that is right click, create a data source. Okay, so this is your application component, right click, create a data source. Then what data you are extracting now? Earlier I selected master data of type attributes, but right now it is transaction data. So under data type select transaction data, and it's asking to give me the name of the data source. So give some name and click on give some name, then specify the data type and you have to click on continue. Okay, this is your data source name. This is the source system. Version is new. Then you can see there are different tabs are there. So in the general tab, what has to be done, as I said, give some description. Then come to extraction tab. Same thing, delta by full upload. Then direct access is allowed or not. So right now is your cube is virtual provider? No, right? Mine is a standard info cube. So that means I want a standard DTP. What I have to select there? No DTP allowed for. If you select allowed means it will be a direct access EDT. When I have to select allowed, if you are loading from this data source to a virtual info cube, then you have to select allowed. But right now, then adapter, where is my file now? Okay. Earlier I used to select now local workstation, but right now my file is in my application server. So under adapter select load text type of file from what? Application server. Then it is asking to give the name of the file. So browse. Which files is that? It's all AL11 files. Which directory is that? Then you can search for your file name. Okay. So just double click on copy it. See the path what it has taken now? It has taken you the path related to your server. Clear? Fine. Understand now? Now, like this, let us say every one day I am getting a file. Every one day I am getting one file. Now, can I load the data now every one day like this? Can I go and change my file name like this every one day? The system has to dynamically. Just a second. Okay, so now what is that now? So I'm saying now load text type of files my application server, and I'm changing my file name. But can I go and change like this every day? Every day is it possible now? Every day suppose you want to load. We cannot change like that file name every one day or something. Now system has to pick your file dynamically from the server. For that, what is that now? You have to write some ABAP code. What is that now? Create routine for file name. So now click on this, give some description. So now in the adapter, what is that you have? Okay, right, in extraction tab, adapter, what is that now? We are writing a routine for what? This is for what? This is to pick the file from the server dynamically. Now, what is asking? P_file name is equal to. What should be the path for your file name? Now, above to this, you have to write your logic. Now, generally, how do you get file name is? Okay, file name will be like this. Real time, what are the file names you get? Now, right now, my file name is tdata, right? So, you get like this, tdata underscore 2011 to. So, this is what is your suppose now this is what is the yesterday's file. Suppose this is what is your okay 0 month is 03. So that is what is tomorrow's file. Understand the logic? How is the file you get is like file name followed by your. That means based upon your date, it has to pick the file dynamically. Everyday file is in the same location, but Based upon, this is what is today's file, this is what is tomorrow's file. So based upon the file, the system has to pick the file dynamically. So now, what is that you can see there? You have something called, I just give you the logic, I can't give you the exact code. Okay, that is the task of ABAP. P underscore file name is equal to, can you see P underscore file name is equal to? So above to this you have to write. So now, what is that now? So let us say I am declaring first. Data. Now what is the first thing? Every data is in the same path. dr underscore from d user. So let us say I am saying data string 1. This is type. What is that I am saying? Let us say character. And imagine, let us say I am giving some length as 50. Okay. Like. Okay. Like what? Every data is same path. What is that path? Just observe. Every day file is in the same path or not? Okay, if you want, you can take up to like up to what? Underscore. Okay. Because every day up to this the file name is, so that is what is your string 1. So if this length is more than 50, give. So according to this length, whatever you have. Then what is the second one? Data string 2. What is that now? Type. This is what? Data. Length is 8. Like. Now this is a constant value that directly I have given the, but this value is the one which is changing dynamically. Now can I give like this value? Can I give like that? But if you give like that means every day it will be the, no, that means I need to use system commands. Okay, now there is one system command called psi underscore. So psi underscore datum refers to today's date. So now full stop. Every ABAP statement will be ending with a full stop. So psi underscore datum means what is the value for it today? This is the value of it for today. What is the value for tomorrow? This is the value for tomorrow. Understand now? So that is what is string 2 type. Okay. Then data string 3 type. Type what? Yes. So again this is C. Let us say length is 4 dot. Okay. Then what is now P underscore file name is equal to, what I can say, concatenate string 1, string 2 and string 3. Understand the logic now? So like this, you can write some ABAP code wherein to calculate your file name dynamically. Right? So here again comes the use of ABAP in GSI. Huh? Sorry? dot like. I forgot it. Yes. Any doubts here? Srinivas, Vinay, Sudhi. Hello? Yes. Sudhi? Right. Which one? Yeah, full stop. That's what I'm saying. I'm speaking about the logic. The code is actually, this is the logic that you have to use. Clear now? So that is what you can write some ABAP code to pick your file dynamically from your server. Then header rows to be ignored is 1. Format is a CSV format. This is comma and escape sign will be like, as I said, semicolon. So these are the things that you have to specify in your extraction tab. Then go to your proposal tab, wherein you can click on load example data. System will read the file and proposes your data source. If you are satisfied with it, it's okay. If not, what is that? You can use a template. Right? The length is taken as 2. If you are not satisfied with that, what you can do? Just open one more session. In another session, open your target. So this is my target. Copy, paste it. Enter, copy. Now length I change it to 8. Same way for copy them. Then come with price. Now observe carefully when I keep figure price. I am copying what is happening. Unit is automatically following it or not. You know, how is that data coming? One is customer, material, price, unit of price, and you have one more unit. This is the followed unit. This is the proposed unit. But actually, in a file, my key figure has only one unit. Now, if you go like this, what happens? If you load like this, what happens now? In the file, what is the fifth position? Customer, material, price, unit. Fifth position was quantity. But here, fifth position is unit of price. That means if you try to put the value of quantity into unit of price. So why 2 units you got? One is followed, then one is proposed. Now you have to remove either the followed one or the any one you have to remove. Suppose if I remove the followed one, here you have to type 0 currency. Instead of that, I am removing the proposed by the system. You know, fifth position is what now? Quantity. That you have to take care of. Okay, that is very important. Then same way for quantity also. Paste it. Copy. What is happening? Reference field unit was added. Same thing. Quantity, unit, one more unit. So I don't want this one. Select it and delete it. Then same way for okay, this unit is not required now. Then finally what is that? 0 child. Okay. Then look at your preview. There you can clear now. So this is how you created one data source. Okay. Just continue. So now data source is ready. Then what you can do? Yes, now. Now for this, what is that now? First understand the source. Source is your data source. What is the name of the data source? You have seen YDS underscore demo. Target is InfoCube YIC underscore demo. So first understand the source and the target, then it is easy for you to. So same thing. RSA1 modeling tab, data source level. In the right frame, select the data source, then context menu, create transformation. Right, so now it has shown you now some. Okay, preview done. Now data source is ready. With the modeling tab, data source level, right frame you can select your data source. Context menu, what is the option now? Create a transformation. Source is the data source is already filled. Target is what now? InfoCube. Earlier we used to select, but right now it is InfoCube. What is that cube name now? YIC underscore. Continue. You know, how this data is going from customer number of my data source, it is going to my customer number of my target. From material number of the data source to material number of the target. You know, suppose you want to understand the options. You know, I am confused from where it is getting the data from. I need to understand where it is getting the data from. So place the cursor on this. You should know where from where it is getting the data from. You can observe what is that. Can you see now a color now? So if you want, you can reset your highlighting. See? Suppose price is there. Price is getting data from price as well as its unit. See? Price is getting data from, one is unit of price, other one is, see now, double click on any key figure. What is that you can see? Target is price, source is price. Target currency is zero currency, source currency is also the. Then, you can see now for quantity, any other option is there? Now what we said, data in the transaction table is additive. Can you understand this part? So any key figure default, if you can observe, the option is summation only. So what is the property of cube now? It is additive. Right. Now, here for revenue, observe now from where it is getting data from? Revenue as well as unit of revenue. Now what is the value of revenue in the source? Blank, right? 0. Blank means it is as 0. But right now I want to apply a formula for revenue. When you want to apply a formula for this revenue, now should this revenue should read the data from the source? No, right? So now what you have to do, select this line, right click and delete it. Now observe, now revenue is getting data from only unit. Then revenue should get data from where? What is the formula for revenue now? Price into. So now revenue should get data from price as well as. So now first what you have to do, specify the sources now. What is the source now? One is. So from price, drag a line to what? Revenue. But now observe now, revenue is getting data from price, then unit of price also. But do you want unit of price? Alright, so what you can do? I'm selecting it, right click and delete it. Then next, quantity. From quantity also, drag a line to revenue. Now see, it's bringing the unit of quantity also, that is also not required. Right click on delete it. So now observe, now revenue is getting data from price, quantity as well as. Suppose you are a bit confused here. How can I remove that line or something? Understand now? Price is getting data from quantity as well as unit of quantity also. But I am a bit confused between the lines here. What you can do, for revenue, double click now. Observe what are the source fields. Source fields are what? One is price, other one is quantity, then another one is unit for revenue, and other one is unit of your quantity. This one you don't want, right? You can select it and you can do from here also. See? See now? Sources are clear. Now you want to apply a formula. So same thing, double click. What is the rule type now? Direct assignment. Now I want it to be a formula. So when I say formula, where it is taking now? It's taking me to some, right? So can you see the sources here? I want now price multiply with quantity. So then just go back, then transfer the values. Understand now? So like that. So no need to do any coding as such. Just only, okay, menu driven option. So now this is how you can apply a formula. So now you have seen the options of transformations. Now in transformations only there are some more options. What you are going to see now this. What is that? One is called as a rule group. Then what are the other options you can see? One is called start routine. Other one is called end routine. Okay, right. Now what is the first option we are going to see is rule group. So after applying the transformations, then in transformations only you have some other options called rule groups. Okay, what is rule groups is? So whenever we want multiple sets of transformations, we use what we use? Rule groups. Whenever you want multiple sets of transformations, we are going to use what option now? Rule groups. Okay, what is this multiple sets of transformations means? Now, observe here now what is the formula you applied. Suppose you have data like this, right? Customer, material, price, quantity and. So what is the formula you applied for revenue now? Price into. Suppose I have 5 records. Now for all the 5 records, what is the formula it is applying now? For all the 5 records, what is the formula now? So now what are the transformations is applying? Suppose I have 1 million records, for all the 1 million records, the same transformation is applying. But now my requirement is like this. Now for me, these 2 customers are, let us say, the loyal customers. I need to give some discount for them. I need to give some. Now, what is the formula for these two things? Should be, it will be like this. So now formula should be price into quantity into, let us, I am saying here, 10% of discount for them. Okay. Now what should it become now? Then this should become, so now what is it now? For these things, this is one set of transformation, right? For these things, this is another set of transformation. So that is what is your rule group. So now second rule group. So when rule group 1 executes, what data it has to allow into my cube now? Only data related to C1 to C3. And what should be the formula now? So now it has to allow only data of what? C1 to. That means what has to be done here? Here you need to write some routine. Now right now what is that rule group is? Sorry. Right now the rule group is standard rule group. So now if you don't use any, what is the formula you applied? Price into quantity. If I don't write any routine here, it allows no entire data. But what I has to do, it has to allow only data of C1, C2, C3. That means you can write some ABAP code here. What should be the ABAP code now? If source underscore fields hyphen customer number is equal to C1 or C2, C3, then only these values has to be allowed into your target. Okay. So now I'll write some ABAP code. Then when standard rule group execute, what is that happening? It is allowing data of only C1, C2, C3. And what is the formula it is applying? Price into quantity. Okay. Then I'll start creating one more rule group now. Rule group 1. So now here, what is that now? This is your RG1 means rule group 1. It's not a standard group now, it's a rule group 1. Now here again I'll write a routine saying allow values of C4 and C5. And what is the formula that we are going to specify here for revenues? Price into quantity into 0.9. That means actually when your transformation executes, how many times it executes now? Twice. Once with standard rule group, other one is with rule group 1. Understand? So when standard group is executing, it is allowing data of only C1 to C3. When rule group 1 executes, it allows data of only C4 and C5. According to the transformation what you apply, that data will be loaded into your. So that is like multiple sets of transformations. Then you can go for which option now? Rule group. So if you want, you can see now, delete your rule group. Do you want to delete the current rule group? I said yes. But you cannot delete this one. Yeah, no? So usually when you use rule groups, definitely you'll be using routines, because you want for this to this particular transformation, then that to that. That means you have to use a routine. Clear now what is rule group option? Any doubts with rule groups? Done? Fine. So next is start routine, right? So start routine executes before execution of transformation. And what does it say? Any logic to be applied before execution of transformation, use what? You have to use the start routine. So any logic to be applied before you execution of your transformation, you have to use start routine Same thing you have. End routine executes after execution of your transformation. Any logic to be applied after execution of transformation, use what? End routine. Any logic to be applied before execution of transformation, use start routine. Now, suppose, imagine your data is like this. Okay, let us say this is my file. Okay, my file has data like this. Customer, material. So let us say in file, for revenue, now I don't have one column, I have. So now, what is it now? This is revenue of 2011 02 26. Then this is revenue of now I have some data like this. C1 M1, this is 100, this is 300. Then C2 M2, let us say this is some 400 and this is some. Now how many columns are there for revenue now? But when I am putting into my target, my requirement is like this. Customer, material, let us say revenue, and what? Calendar. Now, here, how many records for C1 M1 in the source? Only one record, right? But when it goes to the target, let us say it has to split it into two records. What is the value now? Let's see the logic. So, source has data now, only one record is there. But when I am putting into the target now, it has to split it into. Understand? So, for revenue, I don't have one column in the source, but target has only one column. So, how can you apply these things? Is it possible with transformations? So, I need to write purely some ABAP code. So, that is nothing but your start routine. That is nothing but your. So, before execution of your transformations, I am applying some logic. Suppose, otherwise you can say like this, imagine your data was like this. Right? But when it goes into the target, it has to become. So, the first transformations has to be executed and after that, ABAP code has to be written. So, that is end routine. Or let us say, imagine in our example itself, let us say now, what is my requirement? Now, I want to allow only data into the target where revenue is greater than 1 lakh. I want to allow which data into my target now? Only revenue is greater than. Now, is there any revenue value now as of now? Revenue value is calculated when? After execution of your transformations. There is no data of revenue in the source. It is calculated only after execution of your. That means you have to apply your logic after execution of your transformation. Then you have to use end routine. But you want to apply any logic before execution of your transformation, you have to use start routine. Excuse me, sorry. You know what is start routine? What is? So these are the areas where you can write ABAP code in BI side. Okay? Right. Then, so now, how exactly you see now your execution of your, okay, this is your source system. So from your source system, where is data is coming is to data source slash. Then what happens after this is your, what is that after that? Your start routine will be executed. Then after this, your transformations. After that, end routine. After that, your, this is your end routine. Then finally, where it will go now? Okay. Source to data source. Then from between what happens between your transformations. So in this transformations you have different groups are there, right? It may be transformation one, rule groups. Okay, you have rule groups. That rule groups will be executed. After that, end routine will be executed. Finally, data will be going up to, you know. So these are the areas where you can write start routines and end routines. This is purely ABAP. So if you want, based on if anyone knows ABAP or something, you want still better understand, I'll send you some document related to rule groups, start routine and end routine. So it has a scenario as well as the logic what has to be written into that. If you, right, that can be understood only the people who knows ABAP. Okay, right. Clear now? So then you have one more option called expert routine. So export routine means it will delete all the transformations. It will delete what is that? All of your. So everything has to be right. So you have to write. There is not any transformation will not be there. We have to write ABAP code, purely ABAP code to specify how data has to go from what? From your. So purely through ABAP code, it will delete all your transformations. There is no object mapping, nothing. Purely everything you have to specify through ABAP code only. That is called as your expert routine. So where is your expert routine? Observe now. What is there here at the top? Menu bar, edit, expert routine. What is asking? Do you want to delete all your transformations? So it will delete entire transformations. You have to write purely ABAP code specifying how your data has to go from PSA to the target. That is what name itself is expert routine. So like this. So apply what are the options that you want to apply. So if you know the ABAP code, you itself involved in all these options. If you don't know the ABAP code, you will be passing on these requirements to your ABAP consultant. He will take care of these things. Okay? It's not mandatory, but if you know that, it's an added advantage. You can activate your transformations. Yes. Any doubts regarding this? Srinivas, Sudhi, Vinay. Expert routine, huh? See, see, if you like still some complex routines, then you can go with expert routine. So it's purely now you can play however you want. It's purely like through coding, right? Right. So that is what. So it's purely like some complex logics or complex scenarios where you cannot. That if you know you're good at ABAP, then you can go with applying the expert routine. But uh, usually SAP recommends not to use this because of performance issue. If you are able to apply with your transformations and all, fine. But when you are unable to apply with the transformations, then you start using these options. But widely used, card routine and end routine are used widely, but expert routine in very, very rare cases. Yeah. Done? Yes. Sudhi, is it clear? Fine. You know your transformations is ready. Yes. Cube is getting data from transformation. Transformation is getting data from your data source. So just observe your data flow. So data from your data source through a transformation is going to your info. Okay? Right. Now, so now everything is ready. Now you can start loading the. So step 4 is what now? Create now. Info package. Same thing. RSA1 modeling tab in the right frame. Select the data source. Context menu. Data source level in the right frame. Select the data source. Context menu. Create info package. Right? Same thing. Go to data source level. This is my data source. Right click on this. Create one. Info package. Give some description. Everything is already filled. Go to schedule tab. Click on start. Okay, now you get data was requested. You can just go to monitor. How many records are coming now? The 10 records what are there in your file has came to your PSA. Okay, so now still it is blank. Okay, then you have to trigger one DTP, right? So now what is the last step is trigger the DTP. Same thing. So RS7 modeling tab. Then you can go with your info provider level. Then in the right frame, select the target. You can expand it and you can double click on data transfer process. So expand your cube. You can find one DTP here. Double click on this. What type of DTP is this now? It's a standard. Target of DTP is your info cube. Source of the DTP is your data source. Continue. Now, you can see now extraction tab. Extraction mode is delta as already discussed. You have seen about filter. Then you have some option called semantic groups. Right? So now what is semantic groups is, right? So in extraction tab of your DTP you have semantic groups. The semantic group defines what records. The semantic groups defines what records has to be written into. So you can say like this is nothing but a selection of key fields for your error stack. So what should be your key field for your error stack? That selection you can do it from what? Semantic groups. Now, if you want, you can observe what is that selection of key fields for error stack. Now, if you can observe, by default already some has been selected. I didn't select them, it is already defaultly selected by. Now, suppose your data is like this. Now, suppose my data is like this. What is it now? And what I am doing, we are selecting only customer number as my what? Semantic key. We are selecting what there? Customer number as the semantic key. Then, so now you have a number of objects there, but inside that, which is that I am selecting as my semantic key now? Only customer number as selected. Suppose now you have data like this. Now what is that now? Which is the error now? So where it will go? It will go into error stack. And what I am saying is key value is semantic key is what now? Customer number is your semantic key. That means the key value, important value is now what? C1. That means now wherever C1 is there, now all these will be written into your error stack. Wherever C1 is there. Because the key value is not C1. What about this value? It will go into your target. So this also will go into. So now error was with regard now C1. So the key value was only customers. That means it consider this is the key value. So now wherever C1 is there, we will be putting into my error stack. And suppose now same thing, same data only, but imagine I have selected there both customer as well as material as my semantic group, semantic key. Now what happens? What is error now? Where it goes? Now what is the key value now? It will become customer and material. That means now this is C1 M2. Is it C1 M1 now? No, right? So where it will go now? So now, what is that now? The larger the larger the semantic key, the less size of what? So with one semantic key, what was the size of error stack was? 3 records. When I have two semantic keys, now only. So if one more comes as C1 M1, then that will be putting into my error stack. And if you can observe, already by default all the characters have been selected. See, customer, material, and you need not do any changes. But when you want to do the changes, so that is what larger the semantic key, the less the size of error stack. Clear now what is semantic group option? Then come to the update tab. In update tab, you have one checkbox. What is that now? No update without master data. No update without master data. Now, actually speaking, without master data, can I load transaction data? If there is no master data, means there is no SID. When there is no SID, can it generate any dimension ID? Is it possible? No. Actually speaking, system should not allow us to load transaction data without master data. But even though there is no master data, system will allow us to load transaction data. How it will do? Now, first, what is the data that I am loading? Now, what I'm loading now? Let us say I didn't load data of material. I didn't load any master data for material. Now, what happens? What is the data I'm loading? Let us say I'm loading data into cube M1, M2. First, it will put this value into your key table. Only the key value without any attribute information. For that key value, it will generate a SID. That SID will be used for generation of dimension ID. But if you do like that, what happens without master data? If you are trying to load transaction data, it starts degrading your loading performance. Why? Because loading has to start from dimension table, but right now it starts from master table. So if you want, you can just observe. I am showing you now key table of your material. What is it? YC_MNO, right? So just observe now key table of your display, contents, then execute. Any data is there in this? No, right? There is no master data for material. But after triggering this, if you just observe what happens. So go to execute tab, activate it. Then you have to click on execute. So it's asking, do you want to see the monitor? Yes. Now observe now what it's going to do. Right now it is extracting from the data source, then checking for error handling, then applying the transformations, then but while updating, what is doing? First it is going to do load and generation, then after converting the characteristic values into, actually it will happen when you load master data, but still then complete enough, it is successful. Now go and check your key table now. As I said earlier, it was empty. First it has kept your data into your key table. Further it has generated a SID. That SID is going to use at the time of now generation of your dimension ID. Clear now? So that is how the data has been loaded into my info cube. So you can see now this is monitor. Then recap has been loaded. Right. So now data has been loaded into your info cube. You can observe there is no data in your array stack. Right. So now today I will start here. Tomorrow I will show you what is the contents of this info cube, how to see the data in this info cube. Then we'll discuss about some concept called DSO and why should we use DSO and all. We are going to start with tomorrow. Okay. Right.